Question, what do you get when instead of eating something like this, or maybe something healthier than America's best-selling frozen pizza, and instead you save those calories so that you can drink a bunch of this? This is white wine. Any booze will do though. Answer? Probably a terrible hangover. And if you're doing it chronically, probably a term that your mom never told you. So in 2008, this term drunkorexia started popping up on celebrity blogs, kind of as a jab to make fun of very thin Hollywood starlets who seem to subsist on little more than free booze that they were given at Hollywood parties. And what is drunkorexia? Grammatically speaking, the term drunkorexia is a portmanteau, or word smash as I like to call it, of the two terms drunk and anorexia, thus making drunkorexia. If you are starving yourself in order to drink more, whether it is for saving money, saving calories, or so that you can get drunk faster, none of those are good excuses for not giving your body the nutrition it needs in order to usually binge drink. It can be really easy to say, you know what, I know that there are 123 calories in a glass of white wine. I Googled it right before I made this video. Maybe I should sub out, 123 calories of food so that I can drink that 123 calories worth of white wine, and then I won't have to worry about going to the gym. The worst health plan possible. And there are now studies on drunkorexia behavior which have found that it is highly prevalent on college campuses in particular. And this is no surprise because college campuses are essentially like an incubator of unhealthy drinking habits. According to one study that came out in 2010, roughly 39% of college students intentionally restrict their caloric intake when they know they're going to drink a lot that night. That's not good, y'all. And an even more recent study which looked into that subset of college students who self-report that they do starve themselves before they hit the old booze bottle, found that among that population, compulsive exercise, which is exercising for exercise's sake rather than to just be healthy, and disordered eating patterns were the most strongly predictive of who was going to be drunkorexic. What does that mean? We have a trio of unhealthy behaviors, which is binge drinking, compulsive exercise, and disordered eating, where obviously there is a dysfunctional relationship between body image, food intake, and drinking, which can sometimes go hand in hand with eating disorders because that's the only way that they can calm the anxiety that usually fosters things like anorexia and bulimia. And right now, I probably need to be putting a link to the National Eating Disorders Association so that if you are recognizing that you're doing these kinds of things, you might want to give this website a visit. And even though media reports and studies on drunkorexia on college campuses in particular highlight that women are more likely to engage in these kinds of calorie-saving behaviors, it's not just women who are doing it. Guys, you're doing it as well. Male motivations for drunkorexia usually are more geared toward saving that cash and getting drunker faster. And now I'm gonna turn to your mom for a second. Here's the thing, when you drink on an empty stomach, that alcohol is absorbed into your bloodstream even faster. So yes, you will get drunker faster. But you know what else also happens? It increases your risk for things like alcohol poisoning, sexual assault, violent altercations, blacking out, and doing all sorts of stupid things that you're not going to remember in the morning because, hey, you thought at one point it'd be a good idea to intentionally not eat and then drink a bunch of stuff. And I'm only standing so high on this soapbox because I did the same things in college, y'all, so take it from me. The difference in the long term that drunkorexia makes is that it does things like increases your long-term risk of developing ulcers, developing gastritis, malnutrition. How does that sound? You want to be that party guy? Yeah. Oh, it's malnutrition Dave coming in here, being all malnutritioned and stuff. Isn't that fun? And women, if you are concerned about how alcohol might affect your waistline, drunkorexia is not the answer. It is a well-known physiological fact that we tend to have a lower tolerance for alcohol than men do. So if we start out drinking on an empty stomach, things get really drunk really fast, and that can put us in really dangerous situations. Be good to your body. But I want to know from viewers, does this ring any bells? Because when I read all of this stuff about drunkorexia, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say that yes, especially in those college years, I did it. I would drink on an empty stomach sometimes in order to have a party person. And you know what, that's just, it's not a good look. Drink and eat responsibly. This is not eating responsibly though. And drinking all of this is not responsible either. Don't forget to subscribe!